It is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, and intern Sawyer along for the ride as well. What do you got? What are you wearing, dude?
Tuck my chain in. I got this St. Paul throwback jersey that was brought to me by a Minnesota Twins fan named Tony. I've known him for quite some time. He had 4 jerseys of mine that he, I guess, had purchased at auction, game used stuff. He brought them to me yesterday, and I'm very appreciative of them because this is awesome, man. Like, I got this. I got a Jackie Robinson Day jersey of mine. I got a Mother's Day jersey of mine, and then a Tampa Bay Players Weekend jersey.
Wow. Do you have the Tampa Bay Players jersey handy?
I do. You want to see it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay,
Come
hold on one
man.
sec.
Yeah, people love this stuff. A little show and tell. Maybe he's going to get breakfast again. And boy, the other day, the community very upset about me talking about tipping. People saying that tipping is overrated and not necessary.
Maybe this wasn't Players Weekend. It might have just been like a throwback.
Oh, I dig it.
Or maybe it was Players Weekend because I got my nickname on there.
Specialty. Yes. I love that. Well, if you're audio only, come check us out at our Jam Baseball YouTube channel. Nice work. Nice work. Pair of tips of the cap. I'm wearing the cap of the Colorado Rockies. Why? Because they finally won a series. First time in their last 23 series. Yeah, taking care of business against the Miami Marlins. Nice catch, Doyle, to finish this thing off. These players have heard a lot of bad stuff, a lot of negative energy rolling through this team. This was nice to see.
Imagine Brent Doyle doesn't catch that ball, and you're not wearing a Colorado Rockies hat today.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy. I was watching the game yesterday. I happened to catch my guy Kyle Farmer up against Sandy. Yeah, look, it's say what you want about Rockies and their ownership and all these things, but these guys are working as hard as they can. I promise you that.
So Doyle had a great catch to secure a win, but he was one-upped by somebody in Cincy.
Center field, Friedel. At the wall! He made the catch, and the Reds win!
Yeah, well, that's a ball that he literally brought back over the wall, or it would have tied the game for the Brewers, who were looking to extend their win streak to 9. Pretty impressive.
That was awesome. I mean, that's a walk-off robbery.
Yes.
If that makes sense. I don't know. That was really, really cool. And when Cincinnati's fans are awesome, dude. I feel like they're always like, when I hear clips or watch games, they're so loud. So, man, they deserve a good ball club there.
Yeah, they do. It's been a long time since they've won a playoff series. I think it's been 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say. I know. They deserve it. They deserve it. They got the right guy in charge in the dugout. I know that some fans have been ripping him for some of his stances lately, but that's just Tito. Gets a little angry sometimes and frustrated when things don't go great. But still, 2 cool moments for our tips of the cap. In the meantime, let's start this show by focusing on another National League Central center fielder who has taken center stage. He just continues to wow us. It's Pete Crow Armstrong. Last night, he stole third in the Cubs win at Washington. That's a big deal because he became the 4th fastest in a season to hit 15 homers and swipe 20 bags. Took him just 60 games. Only Eric Davis, Ken Williams back in 1922, and Bobby Bonds needed fewer. He also had this amazing play where he stops, starts. He does a little bit of everything. Here's PCA afterward.
We got so many specific stats. I always say it. Like, I'm not trying to slide it either. It's amazing company to be into. I saw those names. But I'm not at the 40-40 mark yet. Like, we're 60 games into the year, and we're still trying to make sure we win this division.
Has he become a top 5 most exciting player in baseball?
I think so. I think what he brings to, his skills on the field, there's nowhere where he doesn't shine. Like, we're going to see amazing plays out of him defensively all year. We know what he does on the base pass. And to me, the most shocking thing has been what he's been able to do offensively, especially in the power department, driving runs in. Like, that's not supposed to be his strong suit. Yeah, he can be a good hitter, but he's been a great hitter. To me, he's must watch right now.
He is. I mean, the other names I've just jotted down, Ohtani, obviously, just because he's so freakish. Tatis, I still put in that book because of what he does, not only at plate, even though he struggled in May, on the pace paths, he's as fiery as ever. And defensively, he's a wizard in right field. Ellie, I think probably because he's just so freakish and, he's a 6'5" shortstop, power hitting, switch hitter, can run like mad. I think that's the list. And then PCA, maybe Bobby Witt Jr. I would put in there. I think that's 5 for me.
When you start naming, that's the problem with like saying top 5. When you start naming out players, I mean, like, yeah, Ellie can be must watch. Bobby Witt, I think is definitely must watch. And you can go up and down the line of guys that throughout the year will be there. But I think right now, consistently, like just tune into a ball game, you're like, who's the best player on the field? Like Pico Armstrong is going to be a top 5 guy in that category.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if I want to put it as best, because then I put Aaron Judge in that list. And the reason
you don't think Aaron Judge is must watch? I think his at-bats are, I mean, you have to.
Well, I called it exciting player. And to me, excitement includes the speed aspect, because I'm so in love with watching guys run the bases and run balls down. Doesn't mean the Judge can't. We saw him make a great catch over the weekend in Los Angeles.
I got one you forgot.
Yeah.
AL Central, Byron Buxton.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
But this is supposed to be out PCA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, we can make whatever list we want. People can throw it in the comments. That's all good and fine. By the way, this is a big deal. There's only 6 40-40 seasons in baseball history. There's only one Chicago Cub to ever even get 30-30. You know who that is?
Alfonso Soriano.
It's a great guess. He did it twice, but with 2 different teams.
Nationals and Yankees?
Nationals and Rangers.
Okay.
And he actually has one of the 40-40 seasons as well.
Is it
you definitely
no way Derek Lee stole 30 bases?
No, he did not.
Okay.
It's shocking, but Sammy Sosa stole more than 30 bags.
Okay, I should have went there.
Yeah. I forgot that he could really run in the early 90s.
I do want to give PCA a little bit more flowers. The way he answered those questions was textbook, and I think that's the kind of guy he is. He understands how good he is. There's confidence in there. You know that. But I think he also is very grounded. He's got great veterans on that team, I think, which really helps him out. Talk about Ian Happ, talk about, Justin Turner, now Kyle Tucker. Like there's Dansby Swanson. There's a lot of guys who play the game the right way and are teaching him how to handle himself at the big league level. But he also had that before he was even in the big league. So you just got to really, I think that's worth mentioning. The mentality that he has is, I mean, anybody that listens to that interview says, I want that guy on my team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's got everything. At first, when he came up, and remember, he didn't get a hit the first year he was up. He had to carry that into the offseason. And then we were like, okay, well, what sort of player is he going to be? And we said, I remember at the beginning of the year, we were talking, hey, if he could be Kevin Kiermaier with a little more offense, that'd be great. And he has blown past that one already. So he's something special. There was a second question I was going to ask about PCA and his rise to stardom, but I think we're going to save that for another day.
Okay.
Speaking of questions, don't forget, I'm doing the show solo, so it's in ARA, Ask Rose Anything. You did a great job getting a ton of questions in the comments section. If you want to get some more in, get them in by late Wednesday so that we can tape the show, have it out bright and early Thursday morning. Look for it very early on Thursday morning. There you go. All right, let's continue on this show with 2 really fun finishes out west. We're going to start with the NLCS rematch between the Mets and Dodgers. Second straight game, it goes extra innings, and there was drama.
Razabon comes back home. Muncy sends one to the moon. We're tied. Pitch, Freeman lifts one the other way. Back goes Nimmo. Still back. It is over. Freddie Freeman drives in Tommy Edman. The Dodgers come back and win it in 10.
These first 2 games of the series have been freaking awesome. I know that Mets fans are like, wait, what do you mean? The Dodgers winning on a ball where Nimmo kind of lost it. You've been in the outfield, and I imagine it is the most helpless feeling when you're twisting one way and you look up and you think the ball's over this shoulder and it's actually over that shoulder, right?
Yeah, and I thought that he had started in, but he was actually back right there. He just got turned around and lost the ball essentially. I thought that ball was gone off Freeman's bat, but it's a tough one. But if you're a Mets fan, look, you've blown 2 leads in the ninth, the last 2.
Mhm.
You got a victory in the first one. I think you'll take 1-1 with a chance to win the series, right? I'd assume going into LA, you would take that. They played great baseball against the Dodgers.
They have. They have. They have a winning record against them. They're 3-2. They've got 2 more games. They got a night game Wednesday night and then a day game on Thursday. Just a few other things. Max Muncy, and everybody in Los Angeles has been talking about since he put on the glasses. I think he's got astigmatism or something. So now he's been wearing glasses. His numbers are insane. He played 28 games without glasses, no homers, 4 ribs, sub 200 average, and a ton of strikeouts. Now he's got 9 homers and OPS on the year of almost 800. I guess things are coming into focus for him.
Oh, that was good. I went back to his low point in OPS, which was on after the game, May 6th against the Marlins. He was down to hitting 176, 585 OPS, Chris. And I'm not exactly sure when he put the glasses on, but since that day, since May 7th, he's played in 23 games. He's hitting 307, 409, 653 for the 1 dot. And that is such a welcome sight for the Dodgers. I mean, as we mentioned, the numbers were really bad early on. I think people knew that eventually he was going to come around, but to this degree, it just makes their lineup so much better.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I talked about him on Monday's show about the thing we learned between the Yankees-Dodgers series. And I said, man, if Max Muncy goes, you can forget about it. I know it's only one extra spot in the lineup, but when he's going, and then your top 6 hitters are Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teo, Will Smith, and Max Muncy, that's tremendous balance. It's tremendous power all over the place. There's a little bit of athleticism, certainly at the way top of it. That is daunting. That is daunting right out of the gate. And Max Muncy, it's funny because when he was really struggling in the beginning of the year, Dodger fans, we need a new third baseman. We just can't.
And his swing is sweet. When he's right and he hits homers like that, like that's a beautiful swing.
Yeah, I think his next homer will be his 200th as a Dodger, which is really everybody talks about the Dodgers spending money. Everybody talks about the Dodgers drafting well. Their reclamation projects over the years, obviously Chris Taylor, whom they just jettisoned off the team, but he was a great reclamation project for them from Seattle. And Max Muncy, a no-go in Oakland.
Justin Turner
is another one. You're right. And so these are guys who have been staples and foundations of their world championship run. It's been pretty impressive. No question. One other shout out. Reed Garrett of the Mets getting out of that 8th inning jam where he struck out Will Smith at the end. I loved seeing that sort of fiery personality at the end and yelling, screaming. He's been such a huge part of what they have done out of that pen this year. For him to, like that.
Absolutely. Into last year as well. No, he's been special. And I guess I'll give a shout out to Tanner Scott, who, he's had his struggles this year. And a lot of it's been location based. In the top of the 10th yesterday, he gets, I believe, Soto and Alonso strike out, and he put the ball exactly where he wanted to put it. So that is, that's what he has to do.
Sign me up for this one in October.
Yeah, me too.
It's really good. If you're just a baseball fan, it has been some great stuff. Meantime, Padres and Giants, and for the second straight night, the Giants starting pitching locked up San Diego's offense. And then the relievers come in, and then we got some issues with 2 outs in the ninth.
Lines it into left field. That is down and a base hit. Fernando's on his way. This game is tied.
And it was a game that San Diego eventually won in extra innings. 3-2 was the final. Manny Machado, the last of his 4 hits right there. Pretty big evening for him. So is this a bigger win for the Padres or a bigger kick in the dick for the Giants?
I think you have to look at it as a bigger win for the Padres. I mean, Camilo Doval ends up giving up a little erratic, didn't really have his best stuff last night, but he's been lights out for them. He hasn't given up a run before last night since April 7th.
Yeah, 57 days.
So like it's gonna happen from time to time, and especially when your closer comes out and walks a few guys, like it's in the middle of the lineup is up, like it's gonna happen from time to time. I think it's more of a gutsy win. The Padres didn't really have much offense going. The 7th and 8th inning, they had some rallies, but couldn't make anything of them. Then to continue that into the 9th, and you put those guys on, you still got to drive them in, and Machado kind of went down and got that slider there. So I'll go bigger win for the Padres.
Yeah, and it's coupled with good news on Wednesday morning that maybe Yu Darvish will be joining them back in the rotation by the end of June. We'll see about all that. It is a great win for San Diego, which has had a lot of ups and downs over the last month. This is a bigger issue, though, for the San Francisco Giants. It is tough. And when they were rolling, and I brought up that I don't know if I can trust their lineup. We talked about it extensively on this show. I said that could be the downfall because this pitching staff feels really, really good. And it has been. In the last 2 nights between their starters, 14 2/3, no runs allowed. And the Giants lost both games. They held the Padres to 3 total runs, and they've lost both games. In their last 16 games, the Giants have not scored more than 4 runs in a single game. They've only scored 4 runs twice in that span. They have scored 1 run or 0 run 7 times in those 16 games. Folks, I don't know where the help's coming. It's like you got to deal with this group, and the pitching staff is good enough to make it to October and maybe do some nice things. I don't know where they go for this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, because they put this team together, and there's really, there is no help coming. Like it has to come from within, Chris. And now they're a half game out of a wild card spot. Jung-Hoo Lee, who had a really nice April, he's come down to earth. And we mentioned the guys who have been struggling for them. I mean, Lamont Wade, Bailey behind the plate. They have gotten nothing out of those guys offensively, so they've been really relying on an Elliot Ramos. Chapman's been, kind of like how he is as a player. He'll get hot offensively, and then he'll go away offensively. And then Willie Adames hasn't brought anything to the table. So these are their guys, though. Unless we get shocked by some sort of offensive trade for them, like they're going to have to get help from within.
I know we talked yesterday about the report from Dennis Lin of The Athletic that the Padres are kicking the tires on Jarren Duran. Who knows whether that's fact or not. Would this be a good landing spot? Because they do have pitching that they might be able to give up to Boston.
I don't know if that's enough, to be honest with you. That would be great, but they'd still have to have some of these other regulars, step up and put up better offensive numbers. Like really, it's Willie Adames has to be better.
Yeah, he has to be.
Now you signed him to a contract to be that guy. He hasn't really been great defensively either. So it's like you need him to elevate his game. It's June 4th right now. Like he still has time to put together a good season if he gets going right now.
Do you think he came from a great place in Milwaukee to hit? Great place, right?
Well,
and now you're going.
Yes and no. Like that's not a great place. Like Park Factor does not rate Milwaukee as a good place to hit anymore. I think it's more friendly than where they're playing at Oracle, but it's changed a lot.
When I've talked to guys though, they enjoy hitting there.
I loved hitting there. I thought it was a place that you had to hit a homer when you went, but something's gone on. I think it's the humidor has changed the way the ball's flying there. I'm going to go off track a little bit here. I had a crazy conversation with a Twins pitcher yesterday about the balls in Major League Baseball right now. He says, you can feel the difference. He goes, there are balls that are so juiced and they're wound so tight. He goes, they feel like a mini ball in your hand. And he goes, depending on, this is crazy fascinating stuff to me. He goes, depending on what ball I get back, sometimes it'll impact the pitch that I throw. He goes, the small balls, the seams are really small in them too. He's like, you can get some extra spin and ride on like a heater, but your breaking stuff isn't going to break as much. He goes, sometimes I'll get a ball that isn't wound as tight and I'll feel the seams and I'll say, all right, I'm going to throw a slider here because I know I can just rip it on it. But he said they're so noticeably different. That like he'll go through a start and just be like, no, I'm not throwing that juice ball right now unless he wants to throw a rising fastball. Like We got to figure that out.
Wow. That is fascinating. I mean, we've heard for years pitchers claiming that every ball is different. That is not good for the sport.
No, it's not.
That is not good. All right. Today's episode, Baseball Today, it is sponsored by Best Western Hotels and Resorts. Life's a trip. Why not make the most of it? With over 4,000 hotels worldwide, Best Western is there for every detour and destination and unexpected twist and turn along the way. Whether you're hitting the road, traveling for work, or chasing the next big game, there's a room waiting for you. But a great stay isn't just about rest. It's about what comes next. Great stay doesn't just help you recharge. It sets the tone for the early wake up, the late night arrival, or the last minute change of plans, because we all have that in our back pocket. Best Western gets it. Traveling isn't one size fits all. It's for the planners and the procrastinators, the loyalty point collectors, and the I just booked it crowd as well. So whether you're flying solo, with your friends, or with the entire roster, Best Western has you covered. So pack your bag, cue up the playlist, hit the road. Life's a trip. Make the most of it where? At bestwestern.com. All right, we continue on with a quick reminder. Don't forget, get your questions in. Ask Rose anything. I need the help. Thanks. I'm going to miss you Thursday.
I'll miss you too, man.
Yeah. It's all right. We'll be reunited soon enough. Hey, congratulations. Lance McCullers picked up his first big league win since September of 2022. Of course, he's had all those arm injuries. 6 shutty, 2 hit balls, 7 Ks against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was freaking awesome. You know who else was great? His opposite number in Paul Skenes. They only got 1 run against him. Solo shot. 8 Ks, 3 hits allowed, 8 innings, and the Pirates, they just can't score when their ace is on the mound.
I don't know. I don't watch the offense a ton in terms of in terms of process and are we sticking within our plan and all that. I'm not the right guy to ask, but again, it just goes back to controlling what we can control. So
where it does get frustrating is Paul puts up a great start, and we don't score any runs for him there, and I think that that's something that everybody feels. I just don't want to overreact to it. Yes, it's a big deal. We need to be better. But we did a really good job on the road trip and finding ways to piece some together and score some runs and get back to doing that tomorrow.
Okay, so Don Kelly, their manager, says, I don't want to overreact to it. Are we overreacting to this?
I mean, yes, because this is a Pirates team that isn't really great offensively. That's what I think. Like, if this was a team that, for every other pitcher, put up 6 runs, and we could be talking about a different thing. But this is the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are just not a very offensively inclined team. And, Paul Skenes is going to put up his numbers because he's one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the sport. I'd probably still go Tarek Skubal there. But, you know what I'm saying. Like, this guy, what he's doing is incredible. So it's going to magnify the offensive woes in Pittsburgh. I don't think this is like, man, they're pressing so much when Paul Skenes is on the mound. They just want to get him that run. I think it's more of like, this isn't that good of an offense, and it's just kind of lining up with when Paul Skenes pitches.
But it is frustrating.
It's frustrating, sure.
I think Skenes has handled it beautifully, to be honest with you. I listened to his entire post-game press conference. He didn't call anybody out, but he did, he said, listen, I don't know if our guys are using the game plan that we're setting up or not. He's like, that's not my department. So I'm not really focused on that part of the game. When our guys are hitting, I'm thinking about other things, which is exactly what he should be doing. But Trevor, the numbers are alarming. Skenes has allowed 19 earned runs in 13 starts this year, and the Pirates are 5-8 when he's on the mound.
Chris, they have a 641 team OPS ahead of the Rockies, the White Sox, and the team we talk about all the time for being one of the most disappointing offenses in baseball, the Rangers. They're the 4th worst OPS in baseball. So I just don't think it's a woe is Paul Skenes because they're not scoring runs. I think it's just woe is the city of Pittsburgh because his offense just isn't very good.
Okay, so do we not talk about this anymore? I mean, they've already shut down the whole trade talk speculation. Ben Sherrington came out and he's like, folks, that's ridiculous. Just stop. Let's not even continue with that narrative. Or is that just going to be the prevailing thought every time we bring up Paul Skenes' name? Because it feels like wasted efforts.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to feel like wasted efforts until they do something significant in the offseason. And we know that just what have they done significant in the offseason in the last 20 years? Like, nothing.
Not a lot.
So, like, that's, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we have to keep, banging on they don't score for Paul Skenes train, because I think that they just don't really score in general. And we are going to have to talk about a wasted beginning of the career for Paul Skenes. So, yeah. We do that with quite a few guys around the league. It sucks. We want to see Paul Skenes in big games. We want to see him in the playoffs. We're not going to see that, Chris, unless something drastic happens. We're not going to see that for another 4 years at minimum.
That's such a bummer.
It's a bummer.
It really is. Because when he's on, when I'm watching in my Octobox, my kids say it too. They're like, oh, Skenes is pitching. Let's put him on.
I guess, look, we still talk about it with Mike Trout, so we're going to talk about this for a long time until he changes teams, most likely.
Ugh, God. That makes me sick. I can't take it. I'm curious, is everybody out there sick of this stuff, or is it warranted? Like, if you keep talking about it, do we think that Pittsburgh will listen at some point? Oh, let us know where you are emotionally at this whole thing.
They're almost in last place in runs scored. They're one above the Colorado Rockies.
That is rough. All right, more pitching news. Arizona did put Corbin Burnes on the injured list. Elbow inflammation is what we're dealing with. We don't know exactly a timetable or anything else. That was the bad news for the Diamondbacks on Tuesday. The good news involved a different Corbin on their team in Atlanta.
Runners on the move again. Corbin skies it pretty deep, right center field. This has got some carry to it, and it's gone. Corbin Carroll's second home run tonight, and they've blown it open. It's 8-3.
Ketel Marte also went deep twice for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, we've talked a lot over the last week that between the Corbin Burnes possible injury and just the Diamondbacks underperforming and the injuries in their bullpen, you put all that together, they might have some names that could be bandied about come trade time. Have the Atlanta Braves entered the discussion when it comes to, let's not do a full retool here? It'd be more like a recharge by trading some veterans, keeping your core together, and calling it quits in 2025.
I don't think they should enter that, just because the guys that I think most people would think about trading, it'd be a Marcell Ozuna who's in his walk year, a Raisel Iglesias, Ozuna as a DH. It would fetch some pieces, but I don't think enough to give up on the season, which I think you'd be signaling if you traded Ozuna. I think you might as well give yourself a chance to go on a run and then offer him the qualifying offer. I think that's fine. And Raisel Iglesias right now, his trade value's probably at its lowest it's been in quite some time because of the start of the season he's had. So, the return won't be as good as you want. Maybe you even offer him the qualifying offer at the end of the year, depending on how it goes. So if I'm the Braves, I think that I stand pat and just try to go on a run here, because I don't think you're going to get game-changing or season-changing packages back for those guys. And maybe I'm wrong about Iglesias. Maybe some team would take a chance on him and you'd get something. But in my mind, it's better just to keep those guys and try to make a run. And then, I don't know if Iglesias is going to get the qualifying offer, but I'm assuming Ozuna will. And I'd rather just do that.
I'll give you one other name.
Okay.
Chris Sale. Now, hear me out. I checked. I don't think he's got a no trade. He had one in Boston that he waived.
Okay.
So I don't think he's got a no trade. It's an $18 million team option for next year. Now, if you are the team that's trading for him, you have to talk to him ahead of time and say, if we trade for you, is this for just this year, or would you be in for next year if we picked up your option? Or could we work out some sort of extension with you right now?
Can you do that?
Listen, these are questions I don't know about. I'm just throwing it out there because he is the piece that teams in a lack of starting pitching market at the trade deadline that could swing maybe the entire playoffs.
But then you're significantly hurting your chances for next year to get to the playoffs. So I just, I think Atlanta's not going anywhere. They got off to a bad start this year. They've dealt with obviously some injuries to some of their biggest players. Spencer Strider still hasn't looked, himself yet. I do not see that happening.
Okay. Do you see them getting back in the race, whether it's wild card or division? They're 10 back in the division. They're 5+ in the wild card. But the only teams that are behind them, I think, are Pittsburgh, the Marlins, and the Rockies in the National League. That's it. Those are the only teams behind them in the standings.
I'm looking right now.
I mean, do you believe in them or not?
Do I believe in them this year? Crazier things have happened. It's June 4th, 5.5 games out. I think they have the players to do it. I would just not want to punt on this season yet. And especially I wouldn't want to. I'm not considering that punting next season, but having Chris Sale out of your rotation obviously takes your chances of winning further down. So
no question, but you have to replace some guys as well. And I know that Braves fans would be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's possible. It is. But when you're talking about something that could fetch you, I'm not talking about high A prospects here. I'm talking about young guys that can help you continue to make the Braves very relevant. And I know there's some Braves fans will say, hey, Chris, did you forget about what happened in 2021 where we didn't even reach 500 until the month of August? And then we ended up winning 88 games, winning the division and winning the World Series. Did you forget about that? No, I didn't. But the Phillies only won 82 games that year. The Mets only won 77. Those two teams are going to have 77 wins by the time we hit September. So it is a different world you're living in than 4 years ago.
Braves fans desperately want a shortstop. I know that. I don't know. I don't know who's available. I don't know who's going to be available in free agency in the shortstop market, but that's the one thing that they're clamoring for. I mean, a left fielder as well. I don't know, man. I just wouldn't punt on the season. I guess, what does that mean? Like, how can you go get one of those guys without giving up Marcell Ozuna or Raisel Iglesias or Chris Sale? Like, I don't know how you acquire a shortstop without moving one of those guys, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I wouldn't do it. I'm a stand pat type of guy.
I'll throw one other thing at you with the Sale.
Okay.
You'll get Lopez back next year. Hopefully you'll get Smith-Shawver at some point next year. You can add to your team. I mean, they didn't do anything except pick up Jerks and Profar in the offseason, veteran-wise for the most part. Because they've got so many of these guys still on sweetheart deals, right? Ronald Acuna makes $17 million a year. He's a $40 million baseball player when he's on the field. So they have the ability to go spend money if they want to also and help their team.
I'm just trying to put together a package. Like, what shortstop comes over for Chris Sale? Like, who makes that deal? Who has just extra shortstops freaking around?
No, but what I'm saying is okay, so you still play this season. Maybe the shortstop isn't a part of the Chris Sale deal, but go get a shortstop in the offseason. There's plenty of guys to be had, whether that's via trade or free agency.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw it out there. I thought it was an interesting name. And once again, he might have a no trade, but I don't think I couldn't find it. Braves fans, you can help me out there. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say anyway about.
Yeah, like, Rose, stop talking about trading our pieces away.
Well, I mean, it's fine. It's kind of fun. All right, give me 1 second. I got to get to my
Let me look up who the shortstop free agents are.
Well, Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
He's one. You can tell me after I get this word in. From Mando. Do your balls stink? I know. You heard me. Do your balls stink? It's June. What does that mean? Sticky summer days. You're sweating through your shirt. You need a deodorant for the whole body use. That's where our friends from Mando come in handy. Mando's whole body deodorant. It is safe to use anywhere on your body. We're talking about pits. We're talking about south of the equator. We're talking about those thigh folds, your belly buttons, your butt crack, your feet. Take care of your feet because sometimes they stink. Well, Mando's starter pack, it is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, brand new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use the code JMBaseball at shopmando.com. That is SHOPMANDO.com. Please support this show. Tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher. Stay drier. Boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
The free agent shortstop class is bullshit. That's it. That's a free agent shortstop class.
You can trade for guys that can help your team, right?
You know what? I was just thinking, okay, I've been obviously watching the Twins quite a bit. They have an interesting dynamic going on with their infield. Right now they have Brooks Lee playing kind of out of position at second base. Sometimes he goes to third base, but he can play shortstop.
So you're saying trade Carlos Correa. I get it.
Or Brooks Lee. I'm just trying to. Okay, let's just hypothetically put this out there. This is stupid. I'm going to get yelled at by Twins fans and Braves fans. Chris Sale for Brooks Lee?
Yeah, you're going to get yelled at. It's going to take a lot more than Brooks Lee to get Chris Sale up to
Minnesota. I don't think so. For 1 year of Chris Sale or 1.5 years of Chris Sale, and you get Brooks Lee, who's got 4 years of team control, and he's a pretty dang good ball player. A lot of potential
you're really trying hard. You're trying hard. Okay. Mariners lost last night to the Baltimore Orioles, who have actually played pretty well over the last week plus. Good for them. And they took it to George Kirby, literally. Did you see the highlight of him?
I did.
This was terrifying. I mean, check your lips on this one, right? Right off of his face. Over 100 miles an hour on the return shot. Oh, my gosh. Bleeding from the mouth. He said he was fine. He checked out. Look at that. Do you have newfound respect for George Kirby after that?
I've always had respect for George Kirby, but that's, you know what? I don't always give a ton of respect to starting pitchers. I do call them soft quite a bit. That is quite the opposite of soft right there. That's pretty hard.
Yeah. Hang in there, bro. Hang in there.
Did he get like tests? He's okay. Like no broken jaw, no nothing?
I think he checked out fine. He was quoted afterward, so he could move his jaw.
That can't feel good this morning.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, quick reminder once again, ARA, get those questions in quickly. Leave them in the comments. Y'all did a great job on Tuesday's show. There's a ton of them. So our intern Sawyer is buried under questions, trying to dig his way out and send them over here. Yes, go ahead.
We didn't even talk about our guy Jack Caglione on this show because he went 0 for 5. Now you're over him already.
Not over him. Listen, they had a great night. We talked about him on 2 previous shows, and he had a couple balls, at least one that was smoked over 100 miles an hour. I thought that first ball that Victor Scott chased down was going to get in the alley.
I'll tell you this: we were all watching it yesterday, all watching his at bats. So he's,
Were the players watching his at bats? Were the players watching?
At the point that he was there, I was watching with the coaches. They were in their hitters meeting while his first at bat came up, and then I was up in the press box. But I know that. I mean, obviously, all the MLB Network was tuning into his at bats, and everyone's, they're excited for a young guy to come up. I think everyone gets excited to see how guys like that who dominated the minors, how they handle major league pitching.
Yeah. By the way, he enters the lineup. Bobby Witt goes deep 2-0 before the Cardinals even record an out.
Bobby Witt had a hell of a game yesterday.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did on both sides of it. All right, so I'll be flying solo on Thursday. It will be out bright and early. So check it. East Coasters, you can even check it out on your way to work. We always appreciate it. Plouffe will be back on Friday. Can't wait for that. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our awesome intern, Sawyer, that is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We'll see you Thursday on Ask Rose Anything Baseball Today.